Exactly.
That's
They're
where
not.
it's zero vitamins. Anything that says vitamin on it doesn't have to be approved by the FDA.
Exactly.
You can have whatever the fuck you want in it.
Jeez.
Yeah.
What if I just take vitamin Trent?
See, exactly. That is what a lot of people don't know. It's wild.
Jeez, that's insane.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
So, but the FDA regulates so much. So what does the FDA regulate then? I mean,
So
obviously it's
the
food.
FDA regulates anything prescription. And so, for example, you can you can get over-the-counter potassium supplementation, right?
Mm.
I can also prescribe that though. And so the prescribed version is going to be regulated by the FDA because it's coming through a pharmacy, but the ones you can buy over-the-counter, your CVS, your Walmart, stuff like that, you don't know, you hope it's just potassium, the electrolyte.
But you're just rolling the dice
Yeah.
at that point.
But is there a third-party verification system for that too, or? So we just have to like
Only
take
for
the-
only for the ones over the counter, not for only the ones that are prescription, not over the counter.
Damn.
So could you sell steroids at a supermarket?
Theoretically?
No, well, I mean, if you made them illegally and didn't go through the FDA, sure, but most of the time you need a
You mean performance
prescription for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like my thing is she's saying like none of the vitamins you buy over the counter are regulated by the FDA. So like who's checking them? Like who's making sure that there's not illegal substances in there or like for performance enhancers?
That's why you don't know, unless it's verified by a third party. So basically, another company takes it, tests it, makes sure it's verified of what they're putting out on the label. But the FDA does not regulate that stuff.
That's crazy.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
And do you think it's just, like, why is that? Is there just lobbyists that, manage to have influence, or is it like they've just done enough people because there's so many supplements out there now? So
Yeah, and that's why, the FDA I feel like the FDA has a lot of different areas that it has to cover, so not just like
right.
prescription drugs, but to do vitamins and have to have all supplements be FDA approved, I feel like would be such a long process. Because the approval for drugs is, and like big pharma and stuff, is massive. It will take years for drugs to come out on the market and stuff like that. So I think that just the process would just be overly kind of time consuming for it to happen.
I bet it'd be costly too for some of these supplements. Like, they're pretty expensive as is right now.
Exactly.
Actually, I think they were saying, raw creatine, like tripled in price in the past 5 years or something. Like the wholesale price used to be the sale price, and now.
I was just listening to Nick Bayer and
Oh, is that where? Yeah, that's
Nick
probably
Bayer
on.
and Chris Williams were talking about that they are the wholesale price is more than what they used to sell it for. Yeah.
And I bet you maybe there's some third-party verification or something that's adding to the cost, or I don't know, maybe the wrong.
I think there was some supply chain issues in there as well. There's some other things.
I was gonna say, kind of cost, or like, what's it called? What's it called when you need something? Supply and demand, that also has something to do with it. But at the same time, you also wonder if creatine, are they putting something else in there to try and cut it, and it makes it cheaper for them, but they can still up the price.
Yeah.
If people don't notice it. And that's where I just get really kind of, like, just personally worried that, like, what is actually in these.
And it's not like
supplements.
all these labels have the craziest words. On a percentage of how many words are on a label, do you know like a good percentage of them, or do you?
It truly depends. Like some of the ingredients maybe, and like the side effects I understand and stuff like that, but to like read some of the stuff and like manufacturer stuff, it's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Jesus.
How often do you prescribe? I'm sure it's every day you prescribe something to someone, but what is it mostly like for?
Yeah, so usually, I work specifically in cardiology, and then within that specifically for heart rhythms. So a lot of times I'm prescribing medications to help people's heart rate stay under control, people's heart rhythms to keep people in normal rhythm and not go into any abnormal rhythms. And then I also do, our practice, we do pacemaker implants as well. And that can come with a lot of pain afterwards. So I do actually prescribe a decent amount of narcotics, more than I thought that I would. Yeah, so, which, that
Jeez.
unlocks a whole can of worms, but yeah, I have like a DEA waiver, so if I wanna, if I do it online, it's a lot easier, because I'm registered as an Atrium employee, I can just go into my patient's chart, send it electronically, and it's good to go. But if I have to call something into a pharmacy, I have to give my DEA number, my NPI number, my, sometimes they want my license, but usually not, and then I have to give all that info,
That's
so
pretty fun.
crazy.
That's
She's
Yeah.
ready.
I just put her in there. Yeah. Dang. So, all right. How long have you been a PA for?
So I graduated August of 2021 from school, and then so I graduated early August, took my boards at the end of August.
Okay.
Worst experience of my life, it was horrible. And then I started working as a PA technically September 2021, but I did a fellowship for the first year. So basically I took a pay cut to rotate through all different aspects of cardiology specifically. And then from there I found EP and I just loved the team. And so they had an opening and they brought me on.
Okay, so what about the profession shocked you that no one ever told you about in school, in PA school, and anything? Is there anything?
So I would say, not that really shocked me, but what was a little bit more of an eye-opener is that, so PA school, you go through, basically my program was 2 years and 3 months of the most rigorous schooling ever. I always tell people you cannot pay me to go do PA school again unless it was like $1 million. Like that'd probably be like my minimum, because it was just horrible. But they train you very, very well. But PA school, and I didn't believe this until I actually lived through it, PA school doesn't train you to be a provider, it trains you to pass your boards. Where you learn to be a provider is actually on the job, and like actually dealing with people and real life situations, not just like test questions. So that was probably like the biggest wake up call when I first started.
So I'm curious how that relates. And you said you started working as a PA in August of 2021, which was right after you passed your boards. And then you also mentioned you decided to do the fellowship, which is a pay cut, but you get to rotate. So is that an option, or is that kind of expected that you would do that first?
It's not mandatory like it is for physicians, right? So physicians, they have to go to their 4 years of med school, then they usually do a residency. And then if after that they can either decide to practice after they complete their residency or go into fellowship for more specialized training. But for PAs, as soon as you pass your boards and you get your license, you can start right away. And you can just start working right away, whoever will hire you. You can start ASAP. The fellowship I really found was a good option as kind of like a bridge between getting right out of school and becoming a new provider, and I'm so grateful for that experience. But
And
it's not mandatory.
Do you feel that the benefit of it is more so, like you said, because PA school prepped you to take a test versus be a provider, and the fellowship is a little more hands-on? Or is it the case that the fellowship kind of like accelerates your career potential and there's like upside financially in the back end?
Yeah, so I think a little bit of both, because the fellowship, basically it gives you time to work as a provider, but also it gives you specialized time to learn too. So it was super nice that I was able to have the chance to see patients, but instead of having 14 patients, which that's usually what I see in a full day, I see 14 patients, 30-minute slots, but I would only need to take 1 or 2 patients. And I could just really take my time, get to know the patient, make sure I wasn't making any mistakes, and you kind of had your other, we had someone who's with us who put on the program, and it's kind of like your safety net, to be quite honest. And now, I still have providers I can go to if I have questions and stuff like that, but I don't really have as much of a, I'm more independent than I was when I first started in the fellowship.
Do you think 14 is too much for one day, or do you think that's...
So it really depends. I've heard of patients providers having 15-minute slots, and I just think, what exactly?
How can you pay attention and look, acutely into one patient?
Exactly.
15 minutes?
How regimented are these slots too? Is it there's an 8:30 and then a 9, or is it generally you go and you'll spend 30 minutes with someone, and if it takes 45, that's okay. You go to the next one, maybe one takes 20. Is it kind of you float and you just generally see 14, or is it I need to be here at this
Yeah.
specific time.
Yeah, so our schedule is 8:15, 8:45, 9:15, 9:45, all the way. Our last one in the morning is at 11:15. So that will get us to 11:45, it's like when we end. Then next patient comes at 12:45, and I either end, my last patient being at 3:15 or 3:45. So it is regimented to some degree, but if I have a patient who's really, really sick, I'm gonna need to spend more time with them. And I'm just gonna have to be late on my other patients and just say, hey, sorry, I'm running a little bit late, and then kind of give them.
So you have that
that's-
freedom.
That's why we
A
spend so
little
much
bit.
time in the waiting room right there.
Yeah, exactly, that's why I can get
Because
so backed up.
Kristen's busy.
Yeah, I'm
She's
busy,
busy.
man,
Okay.
dealing with my patients, helping them out. You got places to be, people to see, man.
So wait, so this fellowship thing, how did you, like, you have to apply to these, right? And then they have to like select you, like, I know there's the difference with the medical school, they're like, oh, what do they call it, match or something, we match?
Yeah.
Is that fellowship school, is that?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so our process is a little bit different. So the medical match is like you go on all these different interviews and then you like rank them basically. And then they kind of, someone matches you up and then it's crazy. It's wild. But for this fellowship, yeah, it's more similar to like a job. So you apply to the fellowship, give your resume, and then, you know, we went on an interview, and then after that, you're selected, and then you sign on, so.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I mean, there's like that in business too. Like, you know, you work at GE and like work in several different offices every couple of years or something like that. So that makes sense.
Like a
It's
rotational
a
program.
rotational program, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it probably helps you like choose what you like too. Right?
Exactly. It's super helpful in figuring out A, what you like, and then also B, I wasn't sure did I want to stay in North Carolina? Did I like Atrium? So it's a really nice way to kind of test the waters as well, and also have people test you and see, you know, do they like working with you? Will you be a good fit in this group versus this group? And
So after the fellowship, is it expected that you get like a full-time offer to come back?
that's
Or
why
is that
not
variable?
Yeah, not always. I mean, they hope to retain, because when you're putting so much time into training these people, you know, you hope to retain them, but sometimes if there aren't positions available, as people have, you know, some people do just come here for the fellowship, and then if they have family elsewhere, they might move back or something. And so it really
it's
depends.
a contract then? It's like a one-year contract?
One
kind of
year,
base?
1 year contract, yeah, exactly. Just 1 year I was guaranteed, and then about kind of a little bit more than halfway, I signed on full time to start once my fellowship ended. Yeah. So kind of September 2022, when my fellowship ended, I took a week break and then started full time next day, pretty much. Yeah.
Took a week break, started next day.
Day after.
Well, the day after my week vacation. It was great. I went home.
Are these so like, I know there's a lot of talk about like traveling nurses and stuff. Is that apply? You know, the whole traveling nurses are getting paid more than the resident nurses, and you know, sometimes the travel nurse really isn't a travel nurse. They live there and they just start their commute's like 10 minutes more or something. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
what's your take on what's going on there?
That's why they don't really have that for PAs. What they did have was they were offering kind of like travel little stints for COVID to have like PAs go up to New York and really help out in those like hotspot areas where there were just tons and tons of cases. But they don't really have that for PAs generally. And so yeah, with the nursing, with traveler nursing, I think it's really hard, or even just being in the float pool, it's hard because like I know, so our cardiac floor is 6A, and you know, I work behind that. I work behind the little kind of edge there, and so I like know most of my nurses there, usually know them all by name, but they don't really, but like if we have a traveler, I don't really know them as well. So it's hard to build like rapport with your nurses when you're a traveler, like provider-nurse relationship, and also kind of having your other nurses supporting you. I think it's just a little bit harder, but at the same time, it's a great gig, so, you know, why not?
What is the sentiment like between, like just generally between like PAs or NPs or someone who have had to do more schooling than a normal nurse would be, and then all of a sudden this like huge need for travel nurses breaks out, and travel nurses are now making like a lot more money than you may be, as someone who's like more educated. Like, is there any like kind of beef there between it?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it beef. I think it's I don't know, it's hard because also I know that nursing is so short-staffed these days, so I do understand where it's coming from and the need for it, and I think that travel nursing is kind of like a temporary fix to a lot larger problem. But, you know, I mean, does it irk me when I hear the travel nurse can make 10 times as much as me and I went through like double the school a little bit? Yeah. But, I mean, it is what it is though.
But is that sustainable? Like,
That's
now the, like, COVID has died down, I feel like travel nursing pay has decreased significantly. That's just my outsider look.
Yeah. And it might, to be quite honest. You know, of course it was super big during COVID, but prior to COVID, travel nursing was still big. And, you know, I had a lot of friends who, when I worked as a nursing assistant before I went to PA school, we had a lot of people who left for travel jobs because they wanted to. I had a friend, you know, one of my nursing friends moved to Arizona, another one moved to, you know, Lord knows where across the country just to be able to experience it. So it is offered other places. But they weren't getting compensated at the rate that you may or may not see today. So that's why I don't think it's sustainable at the amount they're paying necessarily. But I think that honestly, it's just healthcare is like so desperate and so messed up at this time that it's just filling a need, an immediate need.
Yeah. Do you think it's kind of the change that hospital administrators? Do you think it sparks the need for change for hospital administrators? I guess I'll say because like you mentioned, there were so many people, like hospitals couldn't retain their local nurses because travel nurses were making so much more that they just either leave to go be travel nurses or somehow like finagle the system to be travel nurses and live in the same spot and make more money. And obviously, whoever's running the hospitals, like, they notice that's a real financial impact to them.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that there's any kind of like reform that happens in the medical industry because of that?
That's why I think maybe healthcare these days is just so wild. I would say is just a lack of to have a good descriptor, and it's just kind of so backwards. But healthcare, I think nowadays is more about business and kind of corporations now. And I was actually, this is kind of interesting. One of my attendings I was actually recently talking to about this, saying about how, you know, it's become a business now, less than a form of getting people care. So in the old days, before Sanger apparently was associated, and Sanger is the cardiac clinic that I work with. Before, not the clinic, I don't know a good name for them. Yeah, Sanger Clinic. Before they were affiliated with Atrium, at the end of the year, when payments were getting due, and prior to the new year happening, if physicians had patients with like dues or bills they still had to pay, they could lobby to get it expunged, and the physicians would take a little bit of a pay cut to help pay for the care of their patients.
Whoa.
You will never hear about that these days.
Wow. And I'm saying, like, as you said, Dom, that it's becoming more of a business. Like you said, it's got to be tough for a lot of people that want to enter the field of healthcare because they enter it wanting to help people, not entering it to make it a business. I think that's kind of conflicting for a lot of people, I bet.
Yeah, no, I think definitely, and especially because, you know, not half of my fellowship, but a lot of my fellowship was also, and a lot of, you know, learning my new job was, how do I bill? How do I get the highest, how do I write this note in order to reflect the highest billing that I can get back from these patients? But also, how do I still help them?
Yeah, but it's also like insurance, right? Like, you know,
Yes.
so just some stats from this Definitive Healthcare article, just high level about the business. Some of the average hospital revenue is what, 207 million, and the expenses are slightly higher at 209 million. So it is expensive to be in the hospital business. So
It really is.
when you talk about
And then when you go, you know, private versus public as well too, they have different, you know, restrictions and things that they have to meet. And if you want to become a center that reimburse, or that, a center that allows for Medicare as well and like Medicaid, you have to have certain requirements there as well. So, I mean, it is very expensive to run, and that is why we have to,
Like you feel the impacts
increase
every day.
our billing, yeah.
See, that's
And, you know,
crazy. Like
Yeah.
you would think that a good medical organization, without having this insider knowledge, would be like, you take care of the patients, we'll take care of the rest. But that's not the case.
Mhm.
Wow. How do you feel pretty educated on all that stuff, like the billing and like the system and you know, pharmacy benefit managers and
Yeah, I mean, probably not as much as I should be, you know, I think I can get by here, but when patients are like, you know, when I talk about a procedure with a patient, like getting a pacemaker, how much does that cost? I have no idea, to be quite honest. And that's just not something, you know, it's A, not something you're definitely not taught in PA school, and B, unless I'm asking like my higher ups and my, you know, we have a business side to our, you know, of course the business managers and stuff like that. Unless I'm asking them, I have no clue how much that costs.
I have a theory it
Do I know
changes.
Do I know it brings a lot in for the hospital? Yes,
Oh,
but
man.
do I know that it
Yeah, I have a theory, and now I have nothing to back this up. This is strictly skepticism.
strictly theory?
Yeah, but that's what this podcast is for.
Yeah.
Like
Straight facts.
they, I think there's enough data out there on all of us that they can use an algorithm to determine, one, our likelihood of paying, two, how much could we afford, three, like, and basically use that to then bill us later, right? That's why you get bills late after you've been given care. And they don't give you transparency up front because I bet you it's different to everyone.
So you're saying they would bill two people differently for the same level of care?
If I'm in the insurance business, yeah, I'm doing that. Even though I hate to say it,
Well,
but like
for
that's,
insurance, yeah.
but that's what drives prices, really, right? It's really insurance.
Well, don't you already
A
pay?
little bit of both,
Yeah.
yeah.
You already pay differing amounts for insurance based on your like health risk.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yes, I
So-
think that's why it's my.
But your insurance would get you the same coverage. Like, say, if I have more health risk than you and we get the same insurance policy, I might have to pay more for it because I'm more at risk and they're expecting that I'm going to have more claims against my policy than you will.
Yeah.
But it's like, the medical side of things should still charge the,
You think the medical
You-
procedure is the same?
it should cost the same, yeah, and your insurance
know.
covers. I mean,
But then why is
it would be so unethical.
But then why isn't there price transparency? To me, that's the simplest thing. Is what is the price of a pacemaker? You tell me before you put it in, because everything's afterwards,
Yeah,
right?
and you know, some people want to know, and sometimes we do need insurance authorization before we go through with some of these procedures. Of course, it's if it's, you know, emergent, that obviously trumps everything. We go do it because the patient needs it. But if it's an outpatient, you know, pacemaker, usually they get authorization from the insurance of kind of, but at the same time, I don't know how much that covers. I don't know how much the patient will need to
Yeah.
pay, and
that's
stuff like
also
that.
very variable.
yeah, and that also doesn't account for if something goes wrong during the procedure, the patient's gonna be admitted, they're gonna need a higher level of care usually, may need a couple days stay, and that of course changes everything, so. It's, and it's hard to predict those things too.
It's such a difficult business
It's so hard.
because there's so many
factors.
well, there's so
that
much.
go into it.
There's so many ethical considerations too.
Yep.
When you think about like the service of healthcare, like to me, like if I'm gonna have something that's like if I don't get this, I'm gonna die. The value I'm willing to pay for it, realistically, is like everything I have. You know, so it's like how do you put
Right, and then you factor in all the liability that comes with it too. Like the liability behind the healthcare industry, tacked on top of everything you just said, makes it that much more complicated.
yeah.
So, let's talk technology in the future, artificial intelligence. Is that a conversation you guys are hearing? I mean, we just went over some of your apps on your phone
Yeah,
that look like pretty darn, like a regular person could start to use it.
yeah.
I knew you were gonna bring this here.
I'm just curious more if you guys
I
are
like it.
talking.
What Alex is trying to say is it looks pretty easy to do your job,
Yeah.
and we think computers could do it.
What?
What do you say?
Okay, listen to Ryan, see if you can listen to Ryan's heart.
Oh, yeah?
That's
Alright,
why
let's
I
see.
answer
Let's
this,
see.
yeah.
Let's
Or I'll wait till you're done listening to heart. First of all, let's see if you put the stethoscope on right. Good job. Good job. You
Well,
figured it out.
really?
That's the hardest part.
We
Yeah.
will have to cut this out as a video.
I would have done it the other way.
Really?
Alright,
No.
Oh
that looks right. That looks right.
Do you hear it?
That's
that
a
right?
thick heartbeat you got there.
Dude, I got a thick
How many
heart.
how many
Oh,
BPMs?
gosh, I heard
How many
this.
BPMs?
Thick heart, man.
Did you actually hear it?
Yeah, I actually heard it. I heard it better that time.
That's impressive. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want a job? Are you looking for a career change? Just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm only gonna do heart rhythms and listen through stuff that's good. That's all I need to do.
Rough. I will say, so from an AI standpoint, with regards to like, treating people, I think technology is going to be the future of medicine, hands down, no doubt. And especially with even heart rhythms specifically. So we have, let me pull up a little picture for you guys here. Can I connect to this still?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But, so we have these implantable loop recorders. And basically what it is, so it's a heart monitor that gets implanted slightly under your skin. And, cool, I'm in, baby. Okay. Oops. Let's just bring up this one here.
For everyone listening, Kristen's pulling this up on Google and shared it on AirPlay on our TV, so we're checking it out.
Okay, so do you see this little guy right here? So this tiny little thing,
Yeah.
it's about kind of, it looks like it's a little bit smaller than like a USB port.
It's like
I would
half the
say.
size of your pinky. Yeah.
Looks
Yeah.
like a paper clip filled in.
Anything but the metric system.
What is a kilometer? But truly though, I have questions about that later. But so this is implanted slightly under your skin, kind of to the left of your breastbone, and it monitors your heart rhythm. And so actually one of these companies is starting to use AI to make so what it's looking for is any abnormal heart rhythms, right? Because we know normal, we know what normal is. We're looking for abnormal when we implant these in somebody. And so one of the companies is actually using AI to help kind of make the detection for the abnormal rhythms a little bit more better and more accurate. So AI is being used, I'm not sure in the way of you just walk into a computer and it tells you what's going on, but AI is being used in healthcare, and technology like this did not exist, 20 years ago. Maybe.
Who does it notify with, whenever there's an irregular heartbeat?
So it notifies, so we have a device clinic that's attached to kind of our office, so it's like right across the hall from us, and it notifies them. So they get we have a bunch of nurses who run our device clinics for us. They get a notification of it, and they send it to whoever either implanted it or whoever's following them. So that's how they get the notification of it, and then we kind of go from there on treatment.
Wow.
Based on what the rhythm is and the situation.
So do you feel any risk that AI would replace jobs in healthcare, or do you think it just enables
Better decision making.
better decision making? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it more so enables rather than replaces, especially
Yeah.
because one of the things that often is really not undervalued. I don't want to go that far, but one of the things that is often overlooked is just the interview portion of when you're with your patients. What are their symptoms? When are they having them? It's the basics that you learn going into school, but everyone's always focused on tests and stuff like this, to try and help define and diagnose and stuff like that. Whereas sometimes if you just sat and talked to your patient and figured out what's going on, and did a really good physical exam, you could figure out what the problem is.
I feel like too, people wouldn't be fibbing. Sometimes if it's
Right.
electronic, people could kind of say things in a way to get a certain result, which might be bad. But sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, so you're saying is, people are looking past the human, the aspect of healthcare instead of looking at the artificial intelligence and tests and all that.
I think a little
You
bit.
think that do you think that instead of having 14 different patients a day, if you had 7, that you could dive into their symptoms more and kind of get, under the problem a little better maybe?
Absolutely, absolutely. If I had enough time to do, to really dive through their history and look up all their past, all the, previous
And put the
medications
puzzle
they've been
pieces
on.
together, kind of?
Exactly, and put the
Yeah.
pieces together and go from there. Sometimes I'm using the whole visit, interviewing the patient to see what happened since we last saw you, because if they go to other health systems, I don't have access to that information sometimes. And so half the time it's me asking them, what did they do? What medication did they put you on? Whereas sometimes you can just read that in a book, but it's hard to get that within a 30-minute slot. And granted, that 30-minute slot doesn't account for vitals being taken. We get an EKG on every patient, which is a tracing of your heart rhythm, because that's our job, but it doesn't account for that at all. So when it all comes down to it, you have 15 minutes with the patient?
Right.
Theoretically, if you're going by your schedule.
Right.
You have 15 minutes to figure out what's going on, come up with a treatment plan, get the patient accommodated on it, and then go from there.
So, okay, wow, that's interesting. So whenever you, at the end of the appointment, like, I'm sure you talk about, obviously, heart health and everything, are there certain foods that you recommend people take for heart health? Like, there's obviously the physical aspect of, like, cardio, pushing your body, to help your body perform better, but what about the, like, nutrition aspect? Are there any, like, heart healthy, foods?
Yeah, so we tell people this is the best for people with heart disease. Mediterranean, don't judge my spelling right now, I'm typing with one hand. The Mediterranean diet is what we preach here.
Interesting.
Yeah, so the Mediterranean diet is really focused, I don't like that picture. This one looks a little bit better. So it's, a lot of fresh fruits, veggies, healthy fats, a lot of legumes, nuts, fish like salmon, that's really good for you, high in omega-3s, chicken, stuff like that. And then also, I really talk with people a lot about also how they prepare food. Some people, someone in heart failure clinic, I said, what did you eat today? They said, a hot dog. And they're like, but I only had one. But hot dogs have so much sodium packed into it, and people just don't realize that. And so, preparation of food and purchasing food especially is really hard. So I always tell people, start with just throwing away the salt shaker. Like, especially people with heart failure or high blood pressure, just throw away the salt shaker. Because adding that salt is just not going to help you. It's going to have you hold on to more fluid, you're going to feel a lot worse, stuff like that. But yeah, I talk with people a lot about diet and what to abide by. And with regards to heart rhythm specifically, if they have atrial fibrillation, I tell them alcohol in moderation, that's a huge one. And also high sugar foods have been correlated. And a lot of times people think that it's not necessarily the alcohol doing it, but the sugar content of the alcohol. So like the classic PA school like question is, a 38-year-old man goes on a bachelorette trip with all of his friends. He comes into the ED with his heart racing, palpitations, a little bit of chest pain.
Probably did a little.
Potentially. But he said that he was drinking heavily.
Of course.
It's AFib every time, because that alcohol binge leads, just tips him over into AFib.
What a brag after. Guys, I drank so hard my heart was irregular.
Yeah, and they call it, if you Google it, they also call it holiday heart too. They call it holiday heart.
Why?
Because when you're like, if you're like celebrating, going really hard on a holiday, like drinking a lot,
okay.
you get a
Yes,
kick
yes.
off.
That's
So
funny.
it's called holiday heart too, which is
I had
funny.
holiday heart this, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I felt like I fucking did.
How do you acquire clients? Or like, how do you get like patients? I guess is very
Yeah.
probably the
So I
better-
mean,
Acquire clients.
how do I acquire clients?
Like,
I'm not in the business, Alex. What does that
They're not pitching
mean?
your services.
Yeah.
What is a client?
Yeah, but like, how do you get patients? Like, do they just find you and they just show up and you're just like, hey, you're new, or like, do they?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes. So a lot of times our physicians will get the consults primarily, and then so we usually see a lot of follow-up visits as the APPs, the advanced practice providers, so PAs and NPs. So we tend to see a lot of the like follow-ups, and then, but also like when I work in the hospital too, we'll get consulted. So if it's someone coming in the ED and they have a new abnormal heart rhythm, they'll consult us, and then that's how they get established with us, and then we'll see them in follow-up, and help continue to manage them kind of over time. So usually it kind of starts based on a referral, but some people do seek out the EP clinic for second opinions, or if they've been told that they should go see an EP, they'll sometimes just come on their own and say, hey.
And does everyone have the same number of patients? Like, is everyone pretty much slammed, or is it like somehow someone has a really good reputation, so somehow they've just gotten, or more experienced or older, or like, I'm just curious about that.
So I would say that is more so for kind of our physicians, because, we as APPs just kind of work as if people need to be seen in follow-up, they just put them on our schedules kind of at random. And then what I do is if I see a patient, I try to see them again to help with continuity of care, because I already met the patient, I know their backstory a little bit, stuff like that, and to help with continuing their care. But so that more so is for our physicians. I don't have like a set number of patients, but it's just kind of, in the hospital, it's whoever we get consulted on, and then whoever we've been, or people we've been seeing in the hospital who've been admitted, we'll just keep rounding on them, and then whoever pops up on my schedule that's my patient for the day. And
What would you say is the average age of patients?
Traditionally,
I should have said that.
Careful, HIPAA. No, just kidding.
What is the average? Yeah, just
do you know what HIPAA is? No kidding.
I don't.
Yeah, no. But so I would say most of my patients are, I would say average 60s, but I have some 90s, I have some 20-year-olds.
Okay. Well, I'm saying you're not giving up any client information. Right?
That's why.
No,
as long as they didn't say, Don Piazza
That's
is
not right.
a
Just tell us about that one patient you had
29-year-old
today. That'll
male
be fine.
with.
What was that now?
Do you want to say it louder for the people?
No, Kristen, I was just saying what Kristen was thinking.
So you're not listening to a medical professional?
I don't
Is that
think
what you're
so.
saying?
Yeah.
Wait, okay. Weird question. You remember that Bills player that got knocked out?
Yeah.
It was a heart problem, right? The Bills player, it was during the playoffs.
Oh, I got you.
I believe.
I'm
I
just
believe
curious
it was
if
a
you
heart
have
problem.
any idea of what that is.
What is cardiac arrest?
Yeah.
So what happened was,
Wait, take the mic.
what's it called?
Don't forget the mic. Don't forget the mic.
Kristen, take the mic. Or do you
Hold
need
on,
to
I'm trying to,
We
Good
need
job.
to hear you.
I can't remember.
She's Googling, because that's...
No, the gears are grinding.
What's
Shoot.
his name? What's the player's name?
I forget what it's
Probably-
called.
It starts with a D, his last name starts with an H.
I thought,
DeMar Hamlin.
DeMar Hamlin,
DeMar
thank
Hamlin.
you.
as some filler, while Kristen looks it up, I thought that it was if you get like direct impact to the chest area at a certain time, like in between beats or something. It
Just a timing
just
thing?
freezes your heart up.
Well, and you got
That sounds pretty accurate medically, Kristen.
Oh, here it is. Okay, sorry guys, I forgot the name of it because I'm a bad provider. But so what it's called is called commotio cordis, CMMOTIO CORDIS. For those of you at home who want to Google this. So basically, what happens is, okay, now that I got it, okay, let me try to. Commotio cordis. So basically, what happens is. It's a phenomenon where you get hit in the chest, but it has to be timed specifically. So it has to be timed specifically. So you have to be hit right on the edge of this little T wave here. Okay. A quick little lesson. So that first little bump before the big spike that's the electricity going through the top chambers of your heart.
Okay.
The bigger spike is the electricity going through the bottom chambers of the heart, right?
Okay.
So you have 2 chambers on the top, 2 on the bottom. Then you have the T wave there, which is kind of when your heart's resetting. If you get hit really hard, or sometimes people have an extra heartbeat or an early heartbeat that lands right there, it can cause you to go into this rhythm, which is VT or VFib, and those can be potentially deadly. So that's what they think happened to DeMar Hamlin, is that he got hit at a bad timing, and then that's what caused his cardiac arrest and so it's all rhythm related.
And are some people more susceptible than others, potentially?
So it also depends, because some people, it's just bad timing, and that was that, right? And then as long as they don't have any, as long as they don't get hit again at that same exact time point, because like I said, it has to be very, very specific, because not every football player that gets hit
Right.
cardiac arrests,
And
right?
it happens so seldom, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's why.
But actually, there have been, oh my gosh, I'm so, man. Maybe I need a non-decaf coffee, but there's a NBA player who's best friends with Steph Curry, or no, excuse me, he wasn't an NBA player. He's a former basketball player, best friends with Steph Curry from North Carolina. Omar
Ooh.
something.
You're not looking at a basketball crap.
Omar.
Where we're digging for it.
Yeah, we'll keep looking. We'll see the word behind it.
And so I
Yeah.
believe that he cardiac arrested due to on the court, but he might have had, oh no, now I forget his story. Now I can put it on Paul's back. But-
Omar Carter.
Yeah, Omar Carter.
Okay.
Yeah, and he has a whole foundation now. It's really cool, and they did something on ESPN.
It's called An Undeniable Bond. That's the.
Is that the ESPN feature with
Oh
him
wait,
and
yes,
Steph Curry?
yes, that's what it's called. Yep.
Yeah,
It's an E60.
and so it talks about so it talks a little bit about his story, and he might have. So also, some people can have, some athletes and especially younger, can have pre-existing conditions that we don't know about, and they pass out. We do a little bit more testing and find out that they have a genetic disease that could predispose them to these. So they don't necessarily need to be hit, but I had a young kid passed out on the basketball court,
Jeez.
Well,
found to have an underlying heart condition that likely caused it.
Wow.
So now,
And yeah, Bronny.
8 years old?
no, teens.
Oh, okay.
And then Bronny James just had that too. He was,
Yeah.
cardiac arrest too. So
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Cool. Well.
Is there anything about the profession that you'd want to bring up that we didn't ask? What's your favorite part of it?
Yeah.
My favorite part is when I see people in the hospital and you see them at their worst and they're doing horrible, and then they get better over time and you see them in follow-up in the office and they look amazing and they're just so grateful. And I think that's a lot of, I think especially in the, even in kind of everyday stuff, but also in the medical profession, you're always told what you did wrong, what you messed up, how you could be better. And, I do welcome that because I want to be the best provider I can be, but I don't hear thank you very often, which I think would be a little bit surprising. Not to say that my patients are ungrateful by any means, but a lot of people don't tell you you're doing a good job or
Interesting.
It's gonna be hard.
I almost thought you were gonna say you get more thank yous than you did in school, so it's a little better, but it doesn't sound quite.
Yeah, I definitely get more thank yous than I did when I was in PE. Because I just stood in the corner and was like, I don't know. But I definitely get more thank yous now. But people telling you that you're doing a good job, especially from your peers and the other people. I mean, I'm blessed to have a really great group of people that I work with, but also we're humans too, and we make mistakes. And I think that people overlook that. I'll end with this. One of my favorite things to tell patients is, sorry, I didn't bring my crystal ball. I left it at home. They don't laugh at that. But I don't have all the answers, and I don't have a magic pill that can make you better, because if I did, I would give it to you right away. I would not hesitate. And people want that instant gratification. They want that one pill to make things better. They just want to be better right now, and they want me to fix that. And sometimes I can't. So when I can, it's great, it's wonderful. But sometimes I just can't. And it's rough. But yeah, I think the thing that I love the most is seeing how far people come and seeing people feel better, and to know that that was because of a choice that I made is really rewarding.
Kristin, what's the story behind your, I'm not going to say an adjective, but your Ohio State jersey?
The?
No,
Did you mean
I'm just
the?
going to say but
No, so the Ohio State jersey was actually maybe a little bit borrowed and then never returned. So we were at a frat party and I put on this jersey and some guy was like, you better not leave with that. And I said, haha, okay. And then I left with it. That's my story. And that's how I acquired this.
do you know what his
jersey.
name was? Do you feel bad? It's bad karma right there.
Not really.
Maybe that's
'Cause now I
why.
have a super cool jersey.
Maybe that's why they haven't won a national championship or done well since then.
And when's the
No.
last time Penn State won?
No, we're gonna stay on this
Just
topic,
wondering.
all right? But
Okay,
that
New
is
Year's was-
savage.
New Year's
They
is
stole a
devastating
jersey.
for me.
You stole a jersey from a guy Like, that is brutal.
I
Like, that's
didn't-
not a fraction.
It wasn't planned, it wasn't intended. But that's what happens when you leave your house open and leave your shit everywhere. That's all I'm gonna say.
So when you left, you were like, okay, yeah, like, you didn't think I should give it back.
No, I didn't think of, I forgot I had it on, and I
Who is
just
it?
left
Do you
with
know who it
it.
is? Whose jersey is that? I mean, who's the name on the back? Do you know?
Ohio State.
Oh, okay. Alright, okay.
There's
Tom?
no name.
Do you want to tell us?
Oh, I
about-
noticed there's nothing that comes before Ohio on the
Oh.
jersey.
Oh, interesting.
So vintage. Is a vintage jersey before the was trademarked.
Appears that way.
Dang, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
What else is interesting is that it's a 12 Ohio State jersey, so I'm assuming it was bought during the year 2012, which was
Maybe.
that's how they do it. That's how they do it. If you buy
No.
a generic college football jersey, so if we were to buy one this year,
No.
it would have been a 23. If you
No.
go to Ohio
No,
State,
look.
Yeah, it's always like 1 and 5, right?
Well,
Is that
no,
how yours
you
are?
should
why would
just-
yours be 12?
Usually it's just popular players. Like even if they don't have the names on the back, like that is a player. Like that's probably your quarterback.
That might have been Cardell Jones.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I disagree. That's not true.
Well,
This
No, Cardell might have been
this
12.
jersey was
I think it's
purchased in
Cardell.
2012.
But this looks quite vintage.
If you buy a generic jersey from any college, it's going to be the year that it currently is.
No.
It's going to be the season. That's always an option.
I disagree with that heavily.
Yeah, on Wake Forest's student store, they last year were selling a 23 because it was 2023. And that's the thing, you buy like your class jersey.
I actually do agree with Tom on this one.
Yeah.
No.
But sometimes I will also say that sometimes it's just a
I think
popular
it's
player
not untrue
It's
that they
one or
might
the
do what because Alex is wearing a number 1 jersey, and I doubt it was purchased.
Yeah, what's
in
the
2001
what's the story behind the number 1
Year
Penn
one.
State?
this is Handler. KJ Handler was number 1. We always have a stud receiver at number 1. So this is just he had a good year. Nice way to drop your coach
If you
there.
drop this one more time, I'm gonna
And
go back.
so yeah, I just it was a popular player at the time. It was a popular jersey, but you could get other numbers. I'm sure there was a year jersey too, but this is with a player in mind. But now this also will go to the next number 1 player. So.
That's a jersey that keeps on giving. Kind of like that.
So we've got Kristin in a 12 Ohio State jersey. Alex is rocking the number 1 Penn State. Ryan, walk us through what you got.
So this is a throwback. I got this in college. I believe my mother got it for me. It's a Mitchell and Ness 58 Jack Lambert home Steelers jersey. I got a little, I don't know on it. There's some little, maybe blood on the front.
That'd be sick.
Ketchup?
I really hope it is.
Not ketchup.
It has to be either blood or Heinz 57.
There is no
Could
in
be a mixture of
between.
both. I think it's probably
Yeah,
blood. Who knows?
Hopefully both. I think either way it adds character to the jersey.
I think when I got this, I wore it
Oh,
for like
yeah.
3 days straight.
Yeah.
I
Did you wash it? Yes or no?
After that, yeah.
Has
Not
it
for
ever
those 3
washed?
days. Just in college? Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I can't get the blood out.
Bleach, baby, bleach.
I think
I don't know how to. On
I
a
think you should
jersey?
keep it. I think you
On
should
a nice
keep it.
jersey? But that's
On
the thing.
Steeler
No,
jersey,
no,
yeah.
no, not the whole thing. Spot treat.
I don't know how to do that. I gotta Google it. Hey, you learned how to bleach recently, right?
No, I failed at it. I think it worked, but I wouldn't be able to get that out. I don't know how to use bleach. I don't get it. It's too
I don't
scary. Do
either.
you actually need to wear gloves while using
For
it too?
clothes or for cleaning?
Clothes.
No. Okay, so basically your washer has like a little section. Am I teaching you guys how to do laundry?
Yes.
Okay,
No, we're
so
not.
basically your washer has a little section that you can pour bleach in if you want to add it to like your cycle. So like sometimes some of my whites, you don't want to do this often because bleach will weaken the fabric, but if I have like a really bad like couple of stains on like some shirts that I want to get out, wash it with like your normal detergent and then you put bleach in like, so like I put it in like the side, not where like my detergent goes.
I do remember seeing like a little thing that says bleach, but okay. So
I'm always terrified.
I know when we say white though, like let's say it's a white shirt that has like a blue collar, right?
Oh, then don't bleach. No.
So it has to be all
So
white.
you gotta spot treat it. I don't know how to do that.
But if it's
I'm
like
not
your
good.
shirt is like 95% white, but another color.
No, it has to be a hundo T white.
This is why I can't.
Yeah, this is why I think I've always been terrified to do it.
It's just something that's not even worth learning.
And plus, literally, I'm colorblind, so like me doing laundry in the first place is damn near impossible.
You can bleach your colors then, because your eyes already do
I
that.
just, throw, I just throw everything in there together and I put it on cold water. That's literally how I do it.
No warms.
No, nothing. Put it all in
Alright,
there.
your underwear. Socks and underwear,
No, it's fine.
warms.
It'll be okay.
No, you need to kill those bacteria.
Kristen,
No. Well, hot grows bacteria. Cold kills.
When it's as hot as the hot cycle, it kills it. That's why you wash towels hot.
You want to be honest? Sometimes I forget to transfer my laundry from the washer to
The
the dryer,
funniest-
and I wash it again.
Oh, I do that
So
all
I
the time.
get 2 washes in there. So he gets so mad at me.
I think that
She's probably
I would also be pissed.
Yeah.
Adulthood for me is best described as putting clothes in the washer, forgetting them for like a day,
yeah.
having to wash them again, putting them in the dryer, taking them out of the dryer, putting them on the bed,
Yep.
not folding them before you need to go to bed, so putting them back in the dryer.
Yes.
That is adulthood to me.
The number of times I've been over Dom's house and it's just a pile of laundry on the bed, just fresh out the dryer.
Yeah, it's going right back in because I'm not folding.
Here, first hand, Celine, how many times have I washed clothes and then had to rewash them again?
Every time.
Oh.
Every
She said
That's
she said
fine.
every time for the people.
75%. 70%.
So the funniest
That's
thing,
bad.
the funniest thing for me when Kristen was describing like your hots and colds is the fact that she thinks that I actually separate out my socks and underwear from the rest of my laundry.
Oh my god.
Who does that? Who's
Wait,
got time for
like
that?
when you put it in the washer and dryer, you separate it?
What? No. Okay. So you separate. So you get 2 piles. Okay. Okay, 3 actually. So 1 for whites.
Oh, I'm out. I'm already out.
Okay.
Okay, Ryan's out. So you have 1 for whites,
Okay.
right? So they don't get colored, like mixed in with the
Makes
other
sense.
colors. You have a warm pile, that's your socks, underwears, towels will fall into that category, but don't wash them together. And then you have your colds, that are your cold gentles, the gentle stuff you can't mess up.
What?
That is how it goes.
I
Wait,
just,
how are you guys doing laundry out here?
I do the same thing. I just throw it all in there. Like I really do.
Well, what do you set
Honestly,
it
even the
to?
white stuff.
Do you set it
You
to
put it on
warm?
cold though, right? You put it on
Yeah,
cold.
actually, I've been experimenting back and forth, but I've stuck with cold mostly.
Dude, don't do hot. It's gonna, your colors are gonna bleed.
So that's what happened to one of my shirts, and that's why white bleaching was the thing. So, yeah.
You know, you live, you learn. Was it like a good shirt or a good pant? Okay, alright, that's fair then. Yeah, that's okay. It's worth trying. Are you disgusted right now? You look kinda
I'm not disgusted, I'm just like really worried for all your clothing.
I just don't understand where people found the time. Like who
Yeah.
set this up initially that we
Who's
need
like,
to
you
have
know
all
what?
these laundry sets. And you
Dude, I'm gonna go back to the washing it on the ridges with the bucket of water. I'm gonna get back to doing that.
Say
Yeah,
it.
I don't know. It's gonna be
Okay,
you know?
so,
I'm gonna go
No,
old
don't
school.
do it.
I'm
That's
gonna
it.
like
That's it.
literally go back to like scrubbing it, like on a pad, a
That
thing
that sounds
into a
so
pail
much
of
worse
water.
to me. That's like hand washing your dishes when you have a dishwasher.
Well, some people
Sounds
do that. Some
horrible.
people do that.
I mean, no, here's the thing. I don't make the rules, you know, and I'm not out here gladly separating my hots and my cold gentles and my whites, but I'm doing it for the longevity of my clothes. You know, strap your fist because it feel horrible. Yeah, I know.
But like, for the laundry, I don't know, who's like, you know what, I got half an hour, let's separate these things. When you can just throw them in there, get it done, go about your day.
Okay, first of all, it takes about 3 seconds to separate your
It
clothes.
does not. Well, okay, maybe I'm
No.
over.
You're being dramatic, Ryan.
All right, maybe we've talked enough about laundry because I think we're not going to agree on this. I want to hear about Don's stories now because we're all Steelers fans here, so
Yes.
we'll be seeing that later in the year. We're actually really excited. We're probably jumping the ball a little bit on this, by the way. Like football season's a few weeks away, but anyway,
Yeah.
but we're excited. It's August.
First game's Thursday. First game's coming, yeah, the preseason.
Wow.
Pads are going on tomorrow.
wow.
We are
I didn't know that.
right on time, so Don, tell us about what you got.
So to relate it back as a segue to laundry like we were just talking about, I just want to let everyone know this jersey has never been washed. Kristen looks at me in disgust. I don't think it's really gotten that dirty though. Usually I wear it with a sweatshirt under it, so I'm not really like sweatshirt. But it is a Najee Harris marquee Steelers running back jersey, and it's definitely not as unethical how I obtained it as how Kristin got hers, but I did order it off of DHgate, which is a Chinese website for like $20. So NFL, sorry, don't cancel the half. But
We ordered.
don't come after all of our assets.
We ordered eight.
Listen to this.
One asset.
Me, all 12 Megan Ryan Steelers. No, not only 8 so far. But
So far, yeah, that was last year, but this year's new story.
Okay, I just let the record reflect. I didn't mean to steal it. Okay, this was not premeditated. It just happened.
So
And it was an
it's like manslaughter instead of murder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like stealing though, because I
Right.
didn't put anything on this.
All right, that's fair. But no, I feel so good to be sitting in a jersey right now, and God, I'm so connected.
I think it's got us the uniform switch from serious conversation to the casual one. I think has got us in a great casual mood.
It gets your mind right.
So
Yeah.
with that said, Ryan, what's our casual topic?
Did you guys know that Benjamin Franklin might have been a serial killer?
No,
Swear to God.
stop that right now.
All right, this is from Smithsonian Magazine. The article headline is, "Why was Benjamin Franklin's basement filled with skeletons?" And so it reads, for nearly 2 decades, leading up to the signing of the Declaration, blah, 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 he left his English home in 1776 to come back to America. More than 200 years later, 15 bodies were found in the basement, buried in a secret, windowless room beneath the garden. In 1998, conservationists were doing repairs at the house, looking to turn it into a museum. From a 1 meter wide to a 1 meter deep pit,
What's a
over
meter?
1,200. Yeah, we don't need that.
How many cats is that?
That's like 2.5 maxes. From 2.5 maxes to 2.5 maxes deep, over 1,200 pieces of bone were retrieved. Remnants more than a dozen bodies. 6 were children. Forensic investigations showed that the bones dated to Franklin's day. Franklin was noted revolutionary and powerful Freemason, the Grand Master, blah, blah, blah. So it's easy to wonder what dark secrets he might have hidden. But the truth, it turns out, isn't quite so dark. So this is where I'm gonna read the next part, but I think it's a hunk of bullshit.
Wait. No, okay, sorry. Read the next part. I have
Wait,
so many
wait,
follow-up
can we
questions.
first come up with some
Can we-
potential, like, what could be next? What could be the reasoning?
Yes, you can do that, and then I'll read it,
Yeah.
and then it's so easily done. But yes, guess.
Honestly, my number one guess is he moved in the house after a serial killer lived there, and he put the guys in the 2 Max's little place. That is my ultimate guess. This is a guy who put a key on a kite. Can he really kill?
All of the most incredible minds are wackos. Like all the people creating
There's just
inventions,
no stimulation in normal life, so you have to
No.
kill people to see if you feel.
like their minds don't work the
Yeah.
same. That's the reason they create
Weird.
things that we've never used. Like they have incredible minds. Their brains work differently. So they probably do some crazy shit.
I still feel like the man on, what bill is he on? 100. That was a bad moment.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, Benji, yeah, that's right.
Benji's.
That's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
song.
That's how I remembered it, yeah. But I feel like there's no, I cannot see that man. Did you see him? He had glasses, long white hair.
You don't
No.
know him. He
I feel
we
like
have
I
no
do.
idea who this guy is. We only know the good things. Here's the thing. Murder is probably really easy to do back then. I hate to say it.
dude, so easy. Are you kidding me? No video. Dude, when it got dark out, it was purging time. I feel like people were just going.
Oh man, I have the best side conversation that I don't think we should get into.
Wait,
no.
Should we say
we will.
Alright.
Can I finish the article and then we'll get into it?
Yeah.
Okay, so what they're saying is the most plausible explanation is not mass murder, I think it was, but an anatomy school ran by Benjamin Franklin's young friend and prodigy, William Hewson. Which is weird. Anatomy was still in its infancy. The days of social and ethical morals frowned upon it. Steady apply of human bodies was hard to come by legally. So Hewson and his friends had to turn over grave robbing and need professional resurrection men to procure cadavers or digging them up themselves to get their hands on specimens. And so they think that they dug up bodies and were doing anatomy, experiments and stuff in his basement. So even though, if that was the reason, he still knew about it. And Franklin was probably aware of the illegal studies going on in his building, this says Benjamin Franklin House. It's like a company that, you know, runs his like museum and stuff. But it's doubtful that he was ever involved himself. How do they know that? How the fuck do they know that?
No, highly doubt. If anything, okay, if he didn't move in there when there were already dead bodies in the basement, he knew they were there.
Yeah.
How do you not know there are dead bodies in your
This still
basement?
says, we can't imagine that he did, but a curious man that he was, there's no way he didn't like sneak down to check out the proceedings of the Expansion Class.
Does he have
Like,
any
he knew.
anatomy findings? Like, did he do any inventions?
Wow, that is a great question.
That's a great question.
I mean, that's
Someone
what
wanna-
There's
all-
no, okay, so a lot of
Get on.
times like procedures, or like, not a lot of times, but sometimes medical procedures are named after the person that invented them. But I don't know of any Ben Franklin medical procedures, or like
What-
Ben Franklin bones or anything.
What
Well,
about,
so-
who was the other guy? William what?
So the name
Houston?
of the man was
William
William Hewson. Last name is Hewson. And the last name of his coworker was Hunter. So it was in its infancy. So they might have figured out some stuff, but it probably wasn't published because if it was ever published or figured out, they would be questioned on how they figured it out because it was still in its infancy and it was probably still very illegal at the time.
Well, and especially if you're grave robbing, I feel like that was like a huge like crime back then,
You're
right?
stealing
I mean, it
bodies.
still is, but,
They took 6 children. That's wild.
or they killed them.
Yeah, I know, but how did, yeah, exactly, how did they know? Like, they found them, they're just taking a guess.
It does seem like there would be some fun, like, because what's the point of all the studies if you're not going to release some, like, do you really want to know just to know for your own personal,
Exactly.
like, it seems like they're going to release.
This sounds like
some
a
of their money.
huge, like, this sounds like a huge, like.
I think it's a cover-up, yeah,
It's a cover-up.
it's a PR scandal. Because it's
People
like,
don't want-
you
you don't
can't
want-
let Benjamin Franklin be a serial killer.
Right, no way.
The guy on our biggest bill was a serial killer? Like, that
No
would.
way.
Didn't, okay, wait.
Not
correct-
Benny Hundos.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't he sign the declaration?
I think it's on there.
Is
Yeah,
it?
it's-
Yeah,
That's how the article led off.
right, yeah, it's on there.
History was not my strong suit, okay? But there's no way they would let that happen. Just like,
What, they wouldn't let, like, the truth out?
yeah, they wouldn't
Yeah,
let
exactly.
Ben Franklin be known as a
They
serial
literally, they're trying to put a nice spin zone on, holy shit, we found 12 bodies in Ben Frankie's basement. Like, how are we
But-
gonna spin this?
for science.
Right, exactly. And
That's how they spun it.
today, you can
They
get away
were
with saying
already dead. He didn't torture them.
today you could say that, but they're like, how the fuck are we gonna get through this one? They're like, okay, anatomy was young, you know, maybe he was smart and trying to do it. Maybe his friend was trying to do it. Let's just say that. Like, there's no fucking way that he didn't have anything to do with that outfit. But how easy would it have been back in the day? He was
So-
experimenting with lightning, with keys and kites. Like, you don't think he experimented on one body? Come on.
Just quick fact, seems like he had some influence on the urinary catheter, but that was it.
No!
Interesting.
fuck.
But I don't,
You're lying.
it was down there on the list, so I think it might not have, I don't know, we might have to look into this more, but that's it though.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll dig more into it. But yeah, that was the story that I wanted to bring up that I could tell you guys. Yeah.
I'm shocked.
I needed a reaction. Yeah.
Do you want to go into this side combo?
Yeah. What do you got?
So Alex said, which is what sparked this for me, Alex said that it would be super easy to murder someone back then. And
Thanks.
it made me think of another American history legend, Alexander Hamilton, and how he died was in a duel.
Yeah.
And back then, you could just enter into a duel with anybody and kill them, and it was legal. And here's my take. I think that 2 consenting adults in today's society should be allowed to duel under the context. So back then they used dueling pistols, right, which are wildly inaccurate and also not that like high powered. So if you're gonna die from it, it's either gonna be you get hit with it and you get like a disease because their medical procedures just sucked back then and you just had like this piece of lead in your shoulder, or they get you like square in between the eyes. I think we should have dueling pistols that are like pretty inaccurate, so you're probably gonna miss. And if you hit them anywhere but the head, that's like, okay, that sucked, but like I'm alive.
How far away are the?
You have to walk like
Are we
13
doing the-
paces.
Are we doing
You
like?
start back to back.
Yep. The left.
Start back to back, walk your paces, turn around, fire, right? And I think that would just solve so many conflicts. Because it's like you enter into this like life or death situation, and then you're just like, fuck, I hope I don't die.
How many people would die a year to duel?
That's why, hear me out. Instead of dueling with pistols, jousting.
Oh, so going like all the way back.
But, like, how many people die from jousting versus a pistol?
I think probably like a lot of people. I don't know if they die, but they like get super.
No, I'm thinking like
And also, it's restrictive because people then have to have horses and like suits of armor and these long.
No. Assume that an organization provides all that, right? Like,
Well, yeah, and also, do you need a
consenting
horse?
adults are willing. They're so willing to do life or death, like with maybe a hated enemy. I don't think it's that many because I think it's so hard for us to comprehend. Like literally someone dying. Like we have people fighting in a UFC match, like bleeding, but there are still guys saying no. Like that's considered aggressive for us. To literally think of someone dying, I don't think it's that many people. I think it's low.
The number of people that would die.
Yeah,
the number of people that would want to
participate.
participate.
That would make it so interesting though, if less people did it, like, let's say, like, from people that we knew, like, just within, in our lives, like, if there were like 4 duels a year, like 1 per quarter, that'd be wild.
But also,
You could do paper, you could make so much money off of it. You could do pay-per-view, you could sell tickets, advertising. There would be
Yeah.
companies that would make armor.
well, and here's the thing, if it's gonna be a huge event like that, do you have medical staff present in order to prevent? So like how Alex was saying, UFC, they kind of like hold back a little bit so they don't like knock someone out when or they don't like keep hitting someone if they're like KO'd, right? But would there be medical professionals like rapid response, first responders there, yes or no, to help with the death side if the Americans can't handle it?
No, you can't. The death side is it now if you get shot and you don't die, maybe that's a risk, right? So it's like you get shot in the arm, you can't just sit there while you're still
Plenty of
alive.
people survive gunshots. So.
Right. But I think
Especially from a dueling pistol. Like we're talking like it's basically a pellet gun.
Dueling.
Are we talking lead ball?
Like yeah, I guess so. Whatever it was at the time.
Gunpowder?
Yeah, it's one shot. It's one shot.
Yeah.
You don't have more than one shot. So you walk your paces, you turn around, you fire. Chances are both miss because it's like the pistols are not accurate, right? Like, but then you just like that's your frustration. You're like, all right, we're good now.
You say they're not accurate, but Alexander Hamilton died.
Yeah, but that was rare. Like most of the time, people did not get hit.
What's the stats?
If
What's
you're
the stats?
that popular, why are you doing it?
Because you're heated.
Yeah, but like, who are you doing?
And here's the thing, it would
You
settle.
let someone
it would
less known get under your skin.
It would settle. I think it was over a woman maybe. It was something. Aaron Burr, I think was.
No, it wasn't. I don't think it was over a woman. It was over like the presidency or like the treasury or something like that, right?
Treasury something might be right.
Yeah.
Are you looking it up? I don't have my phone on me. It's Aaron Burr. Aaron Burr versus Alexander Hamilton, I believe. But my thought is, it's conflict resolution because it's like if we're talking about something and we're heated, right? And I'm like, all right, I challenge you to a duel. You're just like, oh, I don't care about it that much. Like, okay, fine, you win.
Okay.
This is wild.
It looks like the duel was over a long-lived political and personal battle. But I don't think it was over a woman. I think it was just over kind of everything leading up to it. They were like always kind of trying to one-up each other, and I think it all came to like a front, and that's what they do.
I think if it says personal, there's no way it wasn't about a woman.
Yeah.
And,
I love it.
all
The
right,
charges.
so-
What I'm reading is it says charges, Burr, murder, dismissed.
Yeah, because it's
What?
a duel.
That's
I think, and honestly, I think if we could make it like popular enough, I think like just a lot of people own dueling pistols, and then there's just like an app that has like the legal, like both people have to consent, so they like to
There's
get
an app,
to,
like
to
a
the
dating app.
like in the event that
Dueling app?
someone dies,
Okay.
you do not get charged with murder because it was 2 consenting adults to the duel, as long as the rules of the duel are followed. So I think you have you just have like a pretty standard template for like, here's what you have to sign off on a duel. You do Face ID on your iPhone. You have to have like a third party or something like that.
This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard out of your mouth. No one will do this. And no, I don't want it to be televised, Ryan. People killing each other, football's hard enough for some people.
I should have known you were going to take this road. But I thought, if anything, I would be the one to bring it up, and you two would be the one to talk me down. I didn't expect you to bring it up.
I have two more points to make. One thing, because we were talking about this personal, was it over a woman? Kristin, if you have two men involved in your life, and they both love you, and they duel.
Can I answer this before you say? I do not want someone to kill another person to want to be with me. That's psychotic. Because then if I try to leave them, they'll kill me.
What part of you would be like,
It's a
this
tool.
is kind of sweet
It's
though.
a cultural norm at this point.
It's a cultural norm. No, I would support jousting because less of a chance of death. But dueling pistols, no. Your inaccuracy does not.
So you would rather see a joust slip past armor, go through their neck, than you would see
Yeah,
a bullet
and
kill
bleed
them?
out from their neck.
That's
Chances
high.
of death in this dueling scenario
Very
are
high.
so low.
Oh, you think low?
In dueling, yeah.
Oh, with the
because
gun,
you
maybe.
have to
I
get
think they're higher
hit
with
specific. Yeah, the gun sucks. You have to get hit specifically, like in between your eyebrows, to die from this. If you get hit like anywhere else, you're fine.
directly
Like
in
it's
the
medical bills.
You're fine.
You're
You're not fine, but it's fine. Everything's fine.
But
Yeah, dude, if you get hit in the chest, I feel like
I think it'd also be great television if it was televised.
It'd be fantastic.
I think people would love pay-per-view.
Yes.
Like if you could watch modern day gladiators, like actually they're all consenting, but they fight to the death.
Yeah, they have these simulations in Renaissance fairs, so you can go there, but usually
Alex, there's not the thrill. How often do you find yourself watching Renaissance fair fights?
I
on
don't.
pay-per-view?
That's the thing.
You
I don't
guys
think
go
that's why they're
pay-per-view?
popular right now either.
I'm telling you, people want to see it.
But they have turkey legs at Renaissance fairs.
All right, well, comment below or we'll set up a poll, see if you watch that, because if we get enough yeses, maybe we
I feel like we're
we have
divided
something.
here. Yeah.
that's a great poll. And you can still eat a turkey leg and watch people die.
They're all consenting. They're all
If they're all
consenting.
consenting.
Okay.
And they make a lot of money if they win. You know, it's all commercialized stuff.
So we've talked about the past, but what about the future and the story about the UFOs?
Oh.
Ryan, I know this is a topic we've talked about a lot,
He's been
so if you guys haven't seen, but there's been a House congressional hearing about UFOs and transparency of basically all this information. And a lot of people in the House of Representatives are eagerly trying to get information declassified. And there's some pretty interesting things said, but I don't know during that hearing. So what did you take away from it?
So first of all, I'm just disappointed that like in society that not everyone is talking about it right now. Like it
Totally.
blows my mind.
Totally.
Like if someone from the seat, correct me if I'm wrong. What's his name? David Fravor and Ryan Graves were the two naval that spoke about it. And David Fravor is the most straight edge military, and Ryan Graves straight edge military men you've ever heard talk. And they're like, we're not saying it's this, but it couldn't be anything else. Like you hear them talk, and then you hear Grush. What's his? His name. I want to get his name right. Where is it? I want to hear. What's his name?
You guys have no idea what this. Have you guys seen any of this by the
I've
news?
seen-
I think just
I've seen like brief clips on it.
Okay.
And
With
I
David
do
Rush?
have a take on this that counters Ryan's, but I want to let him go first.
With David Grush, who. No, I want to hear your take on it. And then I'll speak a little more on it.
So you just like think it's crazy that not everyone is talking about it.
Well, the
Talking about
fact that the fact that the congressional hearing was tried to been stopped multiple times, that they continued on with it, that they wouldn't allow anyone in Congress to listen to the skiff where they turn in like the facts and all that stuff that they can't see, and the fact that someone who worked high up in, I believe it was the CIA, came out and just said like what he said, and like and he's a whistleblower, like now there is a platform where whistleblowers like, well, you know, where they can, they're legally okay, like, and they're tolerated to say this stuff. And the fact that someone's coming out and he's gaining nothing from this. Like, he even said, like, in his personal life and in his professional life, like, he has been messed with so much because of this, like, and it's almost like brutal. And so, like, why would he, and he thinks that the people need to know, and he's coming out and saying it, and it's ruining his life because of it, but it's that important, and no one's like, holy shit, like, this stuff that he's talking about, like, I don't understand. What
Okay,
I'm talking about.
I have a follow-up question, and this might need to come later, but what are we, okay, so if there are UFOs, what are we gonna do with that information? Like, what is the plan there? Like, are we just gonna know what, does he want people to know, just have the knowledge of it? Or does he want us to like start preparing ourselves for the alien invasion?
No,
Like,
not
what
that.
is the goal?
Well, the reason that the two Navy pilots were there is because there was never a platform to where anyone who could fly in any military, any arm of the military, like if they saw anything, there was nowhere they were to report it to. And it got to a point where there were so many sightings that it was like their radars weren't working at some points, and like all of this stuff that was happening, and like they thought there were technical glitches, and like there were serious problems that they needed to address, and there was no one that they could go to. So it was like it was a hazard for pilots.
So it's less about the UFO and more about the safety
Yeah, exactly.
of
It's
the
less about
Oh, okay.
the
I got you.
existence of aliens. Now, there were some, lines that were said, like, someone asked, was there like non-human biological remains, found at this one crash site? And he said, yes, it's the most disturbing thing I've ever seen. Me and my wife, like, our life was destroyed about this. So there was like a little bit of that, but it was mostly what Ryan said, like,
So mostly
there's
like
no,
inability to report things for a safety perspective.
Correct. That was
Yeah.
that was the reason that they're doing this. There's never been like a whistleblower platform anywhere that they could report some of this stuff. And people have tried to forever.
well, there is a national UFO reporting actually organization, but it's not, I don't think it's backed by.
Right, but no one in the military or in the CIA or anyone who had any classified information or felt like it should be said,
Right.
no one had that platform.
Yeah, this is like mom and pop from like their cabin house in the mountains, and they're like, oh, I see it in the thing.
Right. Yeah.
So tell me then, Ryan, why is this important to me, the everyman? What do I
Well, because
why do I need to care about this?
you know how people have always wondered, is there something out there? Is the government hiding something from us? Do they have something from us that we don't know about? And the fact that, someone from the government came out and said, I know things that the common person doesn't, and I'm coming out and I'm saying that the speculation is true. Like, it kind of gives more probability to the question that, there has been things hidden from us that we probably should know. But at the same time, it's probably for national security reasons, and there has been someone said, some of these UFOs or UAPs as they call them, some of them we have engineered ourselves, and some of them are ours, but some of them are not.
See, I just don't know why we need to know. Like, what is it?
Why do you not want to know? You're not curious at all?
I assume they're aliens, and I just
Oh,
don't,
yeah, me too.
I just don't really like,
The
unless
fact
there's
is-
something like actionable that's coming out of this. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, if I know there's a UFO, it's like, oh, I already thought that. I've assumed that the government has probably found stuff like that and not told us, and it's like, I don't expect them to tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so,
Unless it's like there's gonna be a alien invasion and you all need to like
And we need to
bunker
prep,
down.
yeah.
Then like I don't want to know about it really.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it'd be cool.
life would inherently change everywhere if we found out and confirmed this publicly. So I totally understand why everyone's having it, like, I'm not for that, but that's like, people's views of religion would be completely changed, like, people's, like, livelihoods and their goals would completely change, especially if, we are defenseless, like if we have no power at all, like, there
Right.
probably is no good way to tell people, hey, by the way, like, we're just far, like.
But how do you know if we're powerless against aliens? Like, what if it's just another species, like a dog or a cat that's just trying to live their life out there, not trying to deal with us?
Yeah.
Like, what if it's just like we don't know? like, are aliens really, is their main goal to try and kill us? Like, is that truly it?
No.
Or is that what sci-fi and like the media have been like?
I don't
wanting
think,
us to
there's never been, so from reports, we've only attacked them, they've never attacked us. But that was such a laissez-faire kind of like perspective on it. Like, as Alex said, it would literally change everything about our lives if it was confirmed. From religion to, to how we study physics and how we study science and how we just gravity overall, like how things live and math and everything.
You're saying if solely you're just saying if the existence of aliens was confirmed.
Well, in the existence of some
I don't
other.
think that changes my life
I don't know.
one iota
Yeah.
at all.
Well, and I
My
think,
day-to-day
just
does
like you
not
said,
change at all.
oh my God, really?
Yeah.
No,
I would think about it. What? I would think about it so much. But I agree with you.
Because
I
what do
think
you want to
obviously.
do about it? There's nothing you could, like, unless you want to change your whole course of life to like study it or
No,
something.
I would,
like,
but I would still be
Or I
so
would-
enthralled in it. It
I
be
would say
incredible.
like unless they're like actively trying to like kill us or destroy us, then of course I would think about it. But if they're just out there living their life on like Mars, having a blast, I'm like, good for them. I would do
That's
too.
fair. If there's no like contact or interaction.
And if there's no threat, right? I think it's
well, I think it's a threat. That to me is like the
Wait,
biggest
really?
problem.
You think aliens existing is a threat? Them
yeah,
just
when
existing.
when you read these things and they say that or like their technology is like
So
a
do you
million
feel
times
like
better
a,
if it's true.
do you feel like a giant squid in the deep dark ocean that you'll never, that like even though it could be like, I don't know if it's deadly or not, but like is that a threat to you? But even if you don't interact with it, like, what's the chance
that's
that
a
you have,
pretty good.
what's the chance you have death by giant squid?
I
Likely very very low.
That's a good
it
metaphor,
exists,
but the thing
right?
is, it's in the ocean. It's not going to come out of the ocean and get me. Like,
What if
these
the
life
aliens stay on
forms,
Mars?
then great for them. That's awesome.
So
I mean,
you're
okay,
just
the thing is, you're saying you would wait till the last minute. Like,
the
we have-
sheer fact of knowing is going to alter, knowing that they're there is going to alter your entire life, even though there's nothing you can do about it.
No, not alter my life, but it completely would blow a lot of ideas out of the water. And it would, I obviously think that is something there and there are things out there. I don't know how they got here. I don't know.
I don't know
what
what
technology
it
or what.
blows out of the water. I think it advances
Well,
science. I don't think it blows religion out of the
I think a lot of it.
Where in
That's my
where in
point, that's my
religion
point.
where in religion does it say that there's no other living
Celestial
being?
life
Like
forms.
we have plenty of living beings on Earth that religion doesn't apply to. I don't understand at all what
So-
you're trying to say.
Well, it just contradicts a lot of what the word was saying. Like I guess there's nothing. I don't think there's anything that says nothing else exists out there but Earth. I don't know. I actually probably should look into that. But my point is like the purpose of people would be way lower because someone's like, let's say they give us this information, like technology and all this stuff. Like we're now not innovating, and innovating is like the core driver of people, I believe. Purpose and innovation. And if both of those things are subject to someone else has figured out how to do it already, then we're like, what's the point? What's the point of doing
That
anything?
happens all the time. It just advances our science.
What
What do you mean? What do you mean, dude? This is this is on a
okay,
smaller scale.
You get a cut and they have an immediate cure, like a cure pill.
That's awesome for us.
But then,
that's like
what's Kristin gonna
Dude,
do?
what?
Prescribe it to all my patients so they get better.
Yeah, exactly. This is like the same exact concept as before Earth was like globalized. This is explorers sailing across the sea and finding new people, and it's like, did that just blow their whole lives? Like, maybe, yeah, but it's
Yeah, it did. But
Okay, wait,
Imagine back in the day, like mathematics was discovered, and people were like, look at our jobs now. Everyone deals with numbers, math, like everything does. But back in the day, imagine like mathematics was discovered, and people were like, well, how is that going to like be interpreted in my job, in my day? And then a few hundred years later, like it's.
But also, like, do the aliens have iPhones? You know, like, could we share our technology too with them?
I'm
and,
sure
like,
they
in exchange for
laugh
stuff.
at our shit.
Really?
Yes.
You feel like the aliens are that advanced already?
so. Here's how it's gotta be. All right, come on. This is it's just so. It's
what's
just
their control
I
this
think,
right
I
now.
think it's
It
so
could
much
be.
simpler to think about than you guys would think. I think
I think they're so big.
there's so many different users. There's aliens out there. Okay, this is my philosophy. There's aliens out there. There's a ton of them. There's so many that are so far behind where we're at, and any that could come to our planet are obviously so much further along than we are. That's
I mean,
I agree.
That's all it is.
Absolutely.
And so,
like, it
of
wouldn't-
course it's scary because it's unknown.
I don't think it's scary. I think it's just fascinating. It's
Okay.
kind of scary. It's kind of scary, but it's
That's
fascinating.
scary.
Like
I
I
mean,
said,
it's
like
scary.
it would not change my day to day, but I would, if knowing there's another life form out there, like I would want to learn about it. Just like how some people are fascinated with, you know, different cultures and countries and traveling the world. Like if there was another world out there, like I just think that'd be so fascinating to learn about. Like because it's something that we've never heard of before. It's a first for humans, for life, which is incredible.
But I feel like when new species of like plants or animals are like also noted, I feel like it's just very similar to that, but it's just,
Well,
but
there's a
because
million
they're
things.
termed aliens and they're not on our planet Earth, that's why it's like super blown out of proportion, right?
Or what's the first one other than us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Because there's so many different
don't forget
plants already.
dinosaurs. Dinosaurs walked so we could run.
That's true.
Just
Yes,
kidding.
they did. Closest,
But-
closest animal today to a T-Rex is a chicken. Relative wise.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I thought alligators.
No, I'm saying the closest relative of an animal that lives today, closest to a T-Rex, is a chicken. Yes, but yes, alligators are.
I love that for chickens. I love that for chickens.
Yeah.
They eat those
Yeah.
ones.
And we eat dinosaurs, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I just think it wouldn't change my day to day. It's just it'd be so fascinating to learn about. It would change.
Here's what I'll say. I think the sheer my point before seemed like it sucked, but it didn't. Okay, there's
I don't no. Okay, all right. let's
you
hear it.
guys all laughed at me.
No, let's
you all
hear it.
laughed at me.
No.
But I'm saying the sheer fact of knowing that they exist, I think, shouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
What you're saying is like if we have meaningful interaction with them, then yeah, that probably does change things, and that could change
Right,
a lot of
right.
things like, you know, the like our technology, if they're peaceful at least, like our technology and how we view that, and if they were violent, then obviously that changes our lives because now it's like we're being taken over. But
Sorry.
I think, well, also the exploratory phase of like being able to actually send someone to another planet, and like explore. Like think about astronauts for us. Like our astronauts, we're not sending them places to be violent, right? Like those are our explorers. So I'd assume the equivalent of anyone that gets any like foreign life form that gets found on Earth is generally going to be pretty peaceful because it's an explorer, you would think. And I think the time it takes between getting to the stage where you can explore somewhere and like getting to the stage where you can wage intergalactic war has got to be so far.
But Christopher Columbus killed a bunch of people. And he was an explorer.
That's fair. That's fair.
That yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It would be interesting, but I guess we kind of passed. I guess we all agree here that they exist. Is that what we're trying to say?
I don't doubt that at all. But it's also not something
Yeah.
I think about very much.
I mean, I don't think it's impossible of an idea, but I'm not going to believe they exist until I have a little bit of proof.
Do you think that
Personally.
all of these sightings are accurate or believable? Because so get this, after the hearing, 403 reports came out about UFO sightings. So a huge surge in sightings, which to me seems like, well, people are probably seeing things, right? Because they hear things, they see things, and like maybe people literally just see stuff and we
Well, and
don't see the same
And also
stuff.
think about it this way as well, like when you have, so in true crime, they have found that eyewitness statements are not always reliable. So you might remember a red car with, I don't know, a broken door, where in reality it's a white car with a broken windshield or something. Like eyewitness is not always,
Right,
you know, the truth.
right.
Because our mind can always play tricks on us.
That's what I was
as well.
thinking, is it sometimes mind stuff? And I know there's photos, but I don't know.
Well, and like, do you guys remember the like, did you have the, is this dress blue or white? Do you remember that thing on Twitter that went
Yeah.
around?
Yeah.
Is this dress blue or white?
I
So
couldn't
like, you can
predict.
convince yourself to see both if you really wanted to. Like if you
Oh,
look
yeah.
at it differently in different times, with different lighting and stuff, you can convince yourself either way. So I feel like, you know, do I think that everyone's lying, making it up? No, I think that these people truly believe that they might have seen something, but was it actually there, or was it something else, or, you know, what was happening? That I think we just don't know, right?
Oh, yeah, I think some of them were, yeah, people thought they saw something, they reported it, you know, probably was nothing. But then you know, I think some of them probably are legit, just from different stories and stuff. Like, I know there have been a lot of sightings over nuclear power plants, which is kind of wild. There were some stories about that, yeah. But, and then there's a lot off the coast. I mean, it makes sense that a lot of pilots see them, right? Like,
Yeah.
but then a pilot who knows exactly how an aircraft flies, in what motion, what speed, against wind, like there's so many factors out there, and then they see what they saw, and like, you know, that's when people are like, okay, like, let's listen to this, you know what I mean? And like David Fravor, who was the most like, you know, like cut and dry, just, you know, straight pilot like you've ever heard talk, which is, that's when people sit up and they're like, oh wow, okay, this guy's talking about it, then you should probably listen.
Okay, I have a follow-up question.
Oh.
No?
No, go for it.
Go for it.
Okay. Would you rather, this is a little would you rather here. Would you rather, if the world was going to be under attack, would you rather have it be by aliens or by the machine?
This is a fantastic question.
Oh, I want to know your guys' take.
Wow, I don't want either, personally. I really don't.
Well, no, but if you had to pick one.
Wow, there's a lot of variables here.
Machines? Like, are you talking like Transformers?
Like,
Are they?
like as in like AI, like computers,
Oh.
like technology takes over.
Oh, I want aliens.
You want aliens?
Easy choice.
Dude, you don't know.
Why?
All we need to do is just like throw a cup of water on the server.
Yeah.
No. Okay, it's not our ability to fight back.
Water on
It's
the
just how do you want to get basically slaughtered, and I think
What do you
AI
mean?
would be a lot scarier because you wouldn't be able to tell differences. But aliens, you probably would hopefully.
No,
I
dude,
would-
you just go to the forest.
Dude,
AI
aliens
can't-
are coming from the air. I can't defend that.
Yeah, we
I
can.
can defend.
We can build
Something,
AI to
maybe.
be AI,
Yeah, but
But you're fighting the AI.
or we just put water on the server.
spin zone.
Like, I
Spin
think
zone.
it's-
What if AI
The
attacks
servers
us
overheat
and then
or
the
something.
aliens reveal themselves to
Can't
fight AI with us?
It's kind of like the French and Indian War.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's like that at all.
I was.
You know, when
I was like,
you
I'm
forest
gonna
dog.
chuckle at that and just act like I know.
Put that as the opening clip.
Yeah, do you know what the French and Indian War is? Yes or
Alright,
no?
well, what would you say? What would you say?
I say AI. Alex, you say
I say
aliens.
aliens.
Okay, Ryan.
I say AI.
Okay. Type.
I also feel like the aliens, because I feel like technology is so involved in our lives. Like, we can't get anywhere without a phone. So if a phone could like lead us to our death, I feel like that's scarier, right?
That's so true.
Sorry,
Man.
not to like it, like, yeah, but I feel like that's scarier than like me fighting a foreign.
What if it? Oh my god.
And
What if it gave you like directions on your phone driving somewhere and you just drove off a cliff? You're just like,
It happened in The Office, it's real. Do you remember that episode?
Yeah.
I
The
know.
pond? Yeah.
Where it's like, make a right now! And they drive down the ramp into the water.
It's good.
Wow. Incredible.
Yeah.
Alright.
But yeah, we're football. Ben Franklin killed people and UFOs.
Yep.
Yeah!
Actually, we gotta have you on more often because that was a lot of fun. So.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, I appreciate it.
Alright.
Great.
I was gonna
That's
say,
good.
you didn't say it till next time.
Oh.
Oh! Film it now.
Oh, I feel so
That was a fun
bad. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, I think time-wise,
We're like, yeah, we're
But like,
Also, don't-
we're at 15 minutes. We're at 50 minutes.
Also, Dom kept rambling about the
We're
door.
only at 50 minutes.
You were
That's what I'm
like,
saying.
you